Let me tell you something real, something that most people don't want to hear because it forces them to take responsibility. The reason you feel tired, frustrated, and stuck isn't because life is unfair or because somebody else is winning. It's because every single day you wake up and measure yourself against people who are running a race that was never designed for you. You scroll through their success, their lifestyle, their results, and you start questioning your own progress. And without realizing it, you've stepped into a competition that's draining your energy instead of building your future. See, the real fight has never been you versus them. It's always been you versus you. It's the version of you that knew what needed to be done, but chose comfort instead. It's the version of you that said tomorrow, when today was begging for action. That's the opponent that keeps showing up every morning, and until you face that truth, nothing around you will change. Some of you are looking at people who started earlier than you, had more support than you, more resources than you, and you're wondering why you're not where they are. But let me ask you this, have you truly outworked the person you were last year? Have you truly grown beyond the mindset that held you back yesterday? Because progress isn't measured by how far someone else has gone. It's measured by how far you've come compared to who you used to be. And if you're honest, for many of you, the problem isn't ability. The problem is consistency. You don't need to be better than everyone. You need to be better than the excuses you made, better than the fear that kept you silent, better than the habits that robbed you of discipline. Every day you wake up, life gives you one opponent, the old you, the you that wants to sleep in, the you that wants to quit when it gets uncomfortable, the you that talks a good game but doesn't show up when it's time to work. Beat that version and you win the day. Lose to that version and you stay exactly where you are. Understand this comparison is exhausting because it shifts your focus outward instead of inward. When your eyes are on someone else's lane, you stop running yours with excellence. You start rushing. You start doubting. You start forcing outcomes instead of building foundations. But when you lock in on your own growth, when you decide that today you will improve even by 1%, something powerful happens. You regain control. You stop feeling behind and you start feeling responsible. And responsibility is where power lies. There are people who didn't have your setbacks, and there are people who didn't have your obstacles. But there is nobody on this planet who has your assignment. Your timeline is yours. Your process is yours. Your struggle is shaping a version of you that comparison can't see. So stop disqualifying yourself because your progress doesn't look like someone else's. What matters is whether you're moving forward, not whether you're moving faster than them. Let me be clear, beating yesterday's version of yourself doesn't mean giant leaps every day. It means small, disciplined decisions done consistently. It means reading when you don't feel like it, training when motivation is low, showing up even when nobody is clapping. It means holding yourself accountable when no one is watching. That's how growth really happens, not in moments of hype, but in moments of commitment. And if you can make this shift, if you can stop asking, how do I compare? And start asking, how did I improve today? Your life will begin to change. You'll move with confidence instead of envy. You'll work with purpose instead of pressure. And over time, the person you used to be won't even recognize who you've become. Win the battle within, and everything else will eventually fall into place. Let me talk to you about something that quietly destroys more dreams than failure ever could, and that's comparison. Not the healthy kind that inspires growth, but the kind that steals your focus and slowly convinces you that you're behind, that you're late, that you missed your moment. The moment you start measuring your life against someone else's results, you stop seeing your own progress. You don't notice how far you've come because your eyes are locked on how far someone else appears to be. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. A comparison doesn't just make you feel bad, it makes you unfocused. And when you lose focus, you lose direction. You start waking up confused about what you should be doing because you're trying to chase somebody else's destination instead of committing to your own assignment. You were never meant to live their life, run their schedule, or carry their pressure. The moment you forget that, your purpose starts slipping through your fingers. Some of you are scrolling every day, watching people celebrate wins you prayed for, and instead of letting it motivate you, it makes you bitter. You start questioning your worth, your timing, even your talent. But let me say this clearly, what you're seeing is a moment, not the process. You're looking at highlights without knowing the nights they cried, the times they failed, or the sacrifices they made when nobody was watching. And while you're comparing, your focus is being drained by something that was never meant to guide you. Focus is everything. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to. And if all your energy is going toward watching others, judging others, or competing with others, there's nothing left to build yourself. That's why comparison is so dangerous. It doesn't attack you loudly. It slowly pulls you away from your own growth until one day you wake up and realize you've been busy watching instead of becoming. You can't chase your purpose while constantly checking someone else's progress. Purpose requires clarity, and clarity requires commitment to your own lane. When you keep switching directions because you're trying to copy what worked for someone else, you end up mastering nothing. You start things and never finish them. You get excited and then discouraged, not because you're incapable, but because your focus is divided. Let me tell you something powerful. Your life makes sense when you stop trying to live it like somebody else's. The moment you stop asking why them and start asking what's required of me, your mind becomes quieter and your actions become stronger. You stop wasting time on jealousy and start investing time in discipline. And discipline, when repeated daily, creates confidence that comparison can't shake. You don't need to know what everyone else is doing. You need to know what you're supposed to be doing today. One task, one decision, one step forward. That's how momentum is built. Not by trying to outshine others, but by showing up fully for your own process. When your focus is locked in, distractions lose their power and opinions stop controlling you. There are people who will always be ahead of you in some area of life. Accept that, and there will always be people behind you too. But none of that matters if you're not walking in your purpose. Success without alignment feels empty, and progress without focus feels exhausting. The goal isn't to impress people. The goal is to become who you were meant to be. So protect your focus like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Guard your mind from unnecessary comparison. Limit what you consume if it's stealing your peace. Get clear on your priorities and move with intention. When your focus is right, your confidence grows. When your confidence grows, your actions become consistent. And when your actions are consistent, your life begins to change. Stay in your lane, lock in on your purpose, and let focus do the rest. Now, let me say something that might make you uncomfortable, but growth has never lived in comfort. The difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise isn't talent, luck, or background. It's accountability. It's the willingness to stand in front of the mirror and say, "This is on me," no blaming the past. No pointing fingers at people, systems, or circumstances. Because the moment you take responsibility for where you are, you also take control of where you're going. A lot of people want change, but they don't want ownership. They want better results without better decisions. They want a new life without a new mindset. And as long as you keep telling yourself stories about why it's not your fault, you give away your power. Blame feels good for a moment because it protects your ego, but it costs you your future. Accountability, on the other hand, doesn't feel good at first, but it gives you something blame never will: freedom. See, average people explain, great people execute. Average people say, if only things were different. Great people say, given what I have, what can I do? When you stop waiting for conditions to improve and start improving yourself, everything shifts. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. That's the line between surviving and becoming. Some of you are frustrated not because life is unfair, but because deep down you know you've been inconsistent. You know there were days you could have shown up and didn't. You know there were opportunities you didn't prepare for. And instead of owning that, you've been trying to outrun it with excuses. But let me tell you something. Your excuses might sound good to you, but they don't move the needle. Only responsibility does. Accountability means you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. You stop saying, that's just how I am. No, that's how you've been choosing to be, and choices can change. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, even when no one else is watching, you start separating yourself from the crowd. Not loudly, not instantly, but daily through discipline, honesty, and effort. Let me be clear. Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means being honest without being cruel. It means recognizing your mistakes, learning from them, and adjusting your behavior. It means saying, I didn't do enough, and then doing more, I wasn't focused, and then removing distractions. That's growth, that's maturity, that's how potential turns into performance. The reason accountability is so powerful is because it puts the future back in your hands. If everything is someone else's fault, then someone else controls your destiny. But when you say, my habits created this result, you also say, my habits can create a different one. That's empowering. That's when you stop waiting to be saved and start building yourself. And don't get it twisted. This isn't easy. Holding yourself accountable means you can't hide anymore. It means you don't get to celebrate effort without results. It means you review your days, your actions, your mindset, and ask hard questions. But those hard questions are the very thing that pulls you out of mediocrity. Comfort will keep you average. Accountability will force you to grow. You don't need more motivation. You need more ownership. You don't need more advice. You need more execution. When you start taking responsibility for your time, your energy, your preparation, and your consistency, you stop feeling like life is happening to you and start feeling like you're building something on purpose. And here's the truth: nobody is coming to rescue you. No perfect moment, no perfect plan. Just you, your choices, and what you decide to do next. The day you fully accept, that is the day your life begins to change. Take responsibility and take your power back. Let me tell you something that too many people get wrong about success. They think it's about motivation. They think it's about waiting until you feel like it, until you're inspired, until the stars align and life decides to hand you a win. That's not how it works. Motivation comes and goes. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it's there, some days it's gone. If you depend on motivation to change your life, you'll be waiting forever. The people who win, the people who reach heights others only dream about, they don't wait for motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Discipline is what separates the dreamers from the doers. I need you to hear me. The version of you that wins is not the one who feels like showing up every day. The winner is the one who shows up even when it hurts. The winner is the one who works when no one is watching. The winner is the one who keeps stacking small victories day after day, week after week, year after year, knowing that the compounding of effort is what changes a life. Success is built on the days nobody applauds. The grind is lonely, the discipline is quiet, but the results are loud. See, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do over time. They wait for a huge breakthrough, a massive win, a sudden stroke of luck, instead of understanding that greatness is built through consistency. Every decision, every habit, every action you take compounds. Reading when you're tired, training when you're sore, pushing when you're discouraged, those are the moments that create the person you're meant to become. And guess what? Nobody can do that for you. Discipline is personal. Discipline is internal. Discipline is your choice. Some of you are looking for shortcuts. Some of you are waiting for someone to motivate you into action. But let me be real with you, the world doesn't reward feelings. It doesn't reward inspiration. It rewards execution. It rewards persistence. And execution only comes from discipline. You can feel motivated all you want, but if you don't move, if you don't act, if you don't build momentum every single day, nothing changes. I need you to understand this discipline isn't about perfection. It's about commitment. It's about showing up even when you fail. It's about staying in the fight even when the results aren't immediate. It's about choosing long-term gain over short-term comfort. Because every time you give in to excuses, every time you choose easy over growth, you reinforce the old version of you. And the old version isn't going to get the life you're capable of. Only the disciplined version will. The power of discipline is that it transforms the ordinary into extraordinary. It turns small, repeated actions into massive results. It takes the person you were yesterday and pushes them into the person you're meant to become. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you moving when motivation fades. That's why winners don't rely on feelings. They rely on the system they've built, the habits they've committed to, the work they've put in day after day, rain or shine, good day or bad day. I want you to see this clearly. Discipline is uncomfortable. It's inconvenient. It's demanding. But that discomfort is the sign that growth is happening. If it were easy, everyone would do it. And because it's hard, few people show up. But the ones who do, they live lives others only dream about. They rise above limits, surpass expectations, and outgrow the old version of themselves. So stop waiting for motivation to hit. Stop hoping for the perfect moment. Stop depending on how you feel. Build your life with discipline. Choose consistency. Commit to showing up even when it's hard. Stack victories, one action at a time. Because over time, the person you were yesterday will be nothing compared to the person you're becoming today. Discipline beats motivation every single time.